Okay, sometime last year, I think it's been recorded. I gave you a talk on the use of postage-due stamps for regular postage, French island of Reunion, for 3 weeks in 1901. I had a one-frame exhibit of those covers, and I'm in the process of resurrecting that lecture for the French Colonies group sometime in the next couple of months. And I thought to add a couple of rare group type covers that I used to have. I've sold the collection, but these are things that most people don't get a chance to see. So I just picked a couple of the rarities from the island of Reunion with French colonial group type, and I thought I'd just show them as an addendum to that lecture I gave sometime last year. Here's the island of Reunion, and here's Madagascar up here, okay? And if you go east, you come to the little island of Reunion, which is close by Mauritius, and there was a lot of commerce between the two. So that's where the island is located. This is actually a more modern map than group type, which is circa 1900, just to give you a little feel for it. A couple of places we're going to visit. The major city, commercial center, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is Saint Denis, which is way up north. And the capital is way down south in Saint-Pierre. I don't know how that ended up that way, but that's the way it ended up. The major port is here where it says Le Port, but it's actually Pontarlier is the name, and that's the port. And other than that, Reunion is an assemblage of small towns and villages located on the coast for, I don't know, 90%, 95% of the little villages. And I just like to call your attention to the little village of Hell-Bourg, which is almost in the center of the island. That's way up in the mountains. It's a real tiny little village. So I just, picked a couple of covers that I just totally enjoyed having that are really quite rare. And here's a triple weight registered letter from Saint-Denis, that big city in Reunion, to Paris, and it's to Noel. There was a famous French colonial soldier officer who prowled the colonies, and there's a lot of correspondence between him and his family back in Paris, and this is probably one of these letters. It's 250-centime stamps, as you can see, the group type, to make the 1 franc rate, which is 3 times 25 plus 25 registration. It's an exceptional cover, but I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to ask you why. Why is this a rare cover? Does anybody see why?
The only thing I would say is, I mean, it doesn't have a registered label, just the R. I
Yeah,
assume the R.
that's what it typically has, just the R. That's called a chamfered R, where you
Okay.
cut the corners off. That's a British word that the British taught me when I was struggling for that word. When you cut the corners off a rectangle, what do you call that? It's chamfered. Okay, I'll give you another chance. Okay, anybody see why?
Is the name misplaced?
No, well, it's shifted. But
Yeah,
that's not a big thing. They printed that in a second run through the press.
sure.
So sometimes they're a little displaced. You need a really good displacement to add value to the
What
stamp.
what is the red underneath the name?
Ah, okay, you got it. You got it.
The what?
When
What was
this
that
stamp
again?
was originally issued, okay, the reunion was in Carmine, okay.
Um,
Uh, but at some point, they decided that with a carmine stamp, maybe we should choose another color for the printing of the town. So they changed the stamp to blue, and apparently they came out with, I don't know if it was a pane, a double pane, or maybe a sheet of 6 panes of stamps that have the double overprint. One reunion is in blue, which you can readily see. And if you squint down and look very closely,
oh,
underneath the blue, you see the reunion in red. So
oh,
this is
yeah.
the double overprint variety, on cover a pair.
Nice.
Okay, and the catalog value of just a single used stamp is in 2007. That's the latest catalog I have that records a value for this stamp. The catalog values is 600 euros.
The current classic value is $500.
Okay, well,
Mint or used.
pretty much the same. So you put two of them together and then you put it on a cover, and that's a pretty neat cover to have. I was very pleased to have that in the Reunion group type cover collection. So I thought I'd show that one. And I mentioned the town of Hell-Bourg to you as being a little nothing of a village way up in the center of the island. Here's a registered cover from Hell-Bourg. Okay, you can, if you squint your eyes, you can reach it. You can see the second strike of Hell-Bourg here. It's very clear. This is the 50 centime reissue of the group type in 1900 with a new color. It's now brown on bluish. It's the reissue stamp used from the little village of Hell-Bourg via Saint Denis, okay, that big city. Via Mauritius then. From Saint Denis, it goes to Mauritius, from Mauritius to Colombia and Ceylon, and then it goes to, anybody want to pronounce this for me? Okay, now that's another one of these tiny villages in Ceylon. Okay, this is from a tiny village in Réunion to a tiny village in Ceylon. A beautiful registered letter, and it's actually from the British consulate in Réunion. Just to show you, here's the bottom portion of Ceylon. There's Colombo, where this transited, and here's where this Boga, whatever the hell it is located. Okay, you got to zoom in 3 zooms on Google Maps before you can see a dot for the town. Okay, it's a little tiny small village. So this is really an exceptional cover from a tiny village to a tiny village with a good stamp.
To get there.
This was mailed on the 10th of May, and this looks like July something. May, June, July, say 2 months.
Yeah.
I don't believe there was a British consulate in this tiny village. I guess some
No, he's the British consulate of Reunion. Probably he was at Saint Denis or Saint Pierre. He might have been on vacation up in the mountains when he mailed the letter. But there was a lot of commerce between Reunion and Mauritius, so that might generate a need for some sort of consular representation there. Okay, so that's number 2. Here's number 3. It's the small village of Saint-Loup. Saint-Loup is located on the western end of the island, right at the coast. And it's from Saint-Loup, which is a wonderful point of origin, to Canton, China. That's a pretty exceptional destination for a little tiny village. But what makes it really exciting, it was posted August 10th, 1899, but it missed the scheduled French packet, and it was held at the port town of Pointe-Galais until September 1st, when the next French packet arrived. And you could see August 10th is the posting date, take my word on that. You get the Reunion Marseille packet, line V here. It's 1st of September, okay? So this sat around for 3 weeks waiting for the packet, and they had a special hand stamp for that, APRES LE DEPART, okay? For those of you who collect British area, when you get these too late head stamps, it says too late. Okay, the French equivalent is Après le départ, after the departure.
The Après le départ, that's because it missed the first packet?
It missed the first packet. See, so they had that hand stamp, in case people started wondering, what the hell's happening? Train's always late. Oh, well, the boat's always late. No, post office is always, no, yeah, the packet, it missed the packet, okay. And in fact, in France, they had special rates where you could speed up the delivery to catch these departures. But you'd have to pay an extra 20 centimes, and they'd put it in a special service if you were too close to the departures of the boat. So that's a very, very rare colonial marking. It's much easier in France to get these markings, but the colonies, it's very difficult. In fact, in my whole group type collection, which was maybe 2,600 covers, I only had 3 Après le départ hand stamps. So it's a really rare hand stamp. And this went from Saint Loup to the Réunion Marseille packet at Pontarlier. It was transferred to the British packet at Aden, and then it went to Hong Kong, and from Hong Kong it was delivered to Canton. So it's got that rare APRES Le Depart hand stamp, and it's got all the right markings, and the whole thing makes sense. And to top it off, it's a nice combination of stamps to make the 25 centime rate, and just instead of a plain old black 25 centime stamp. Here's another one that has a story. This was posted in Réunion, Saint Denis. Okay, so it's from the big city, the big town, and my interpretation of this cover is the person who wrote it, okay, was sending it to somebody in Tahiti, okay, T-A-I-I-T-Y, Tahiti is how they pronounced it. And you notice he was the chief of the Bureau of something. I can't read this. Looks like it begins with a D. In the interior, okay? So I think the sender thought this addressee was some sort of high enough government official that he deserved free franking. So they sent the letter unfranked. No postage stamps, unpaid, okay, because of they thought this guy deserved a government franchise. So it got to Saint Denis, and they disagreed. They didn't think that this person deserved franchise, whoever he was. So they struck it with their T in triangle for postage due. Okay, so it caught the. I'll give you the routing on this. It's really crazy, but it caught the Réunion Marseille packet. It was brought to Marseille. From Marseille, it was brought to Paris. From Paris, it was brought to Le Havre. From Le Havre, it was taken to New York. From New York, it was taken to San Francisco by train. San Francisco, it went on a ship, maybe even via Australia to Papeete. Okay, that's the routing.
Well worth 50 centimes.
Well, it was actually, it really was.
Ed, are there postmarks on the back for the transit?
There are some. I have, unfortunately, one of the mistakes I made in putting this collection together is I never fastidiously scanned every cover front and back. And I felt if the markings were what you would expect, I didn't do the back.
I would imagine that if it went by train from New York to the West Coast, that there would probably be an RPO of some sort.
No,
or an agent marking. No,
these were generally sorted in New York, but they came into the Hudson Terminal in New York, and they were sorted direct San Francisco in a bag, and it pops out in San Francisco. So it traveled for the most part in closed bags. Well, it got to Papeete, and they agreed. This deserves a postage due, okay? And the rate was 25 centimes. You double the rate according to the UPU. It's now 50 centimes. That's a really phenomenal use of that stamp.
It's interesting that the postage due stamp is a French postage due.
No, it's French colonies.
It's French colonies?
Yes, it is, sir, because these perforated stamps were used in France proper and in French offices, but they voted to use the imperforate stamps in the French colonies. And this is exactly what France did for the regular issues starting 1871. From France, they used perforated. From the colonies, they're imperf. You can find the Ceres issues, the Napoleon issues, and the Type-Sage, the Sage issues, all used imperforate from the colonies. You notice this is an imperforate stamp. Okay, that's colonial usage, proper colonial usage. France did not use imperforate postage due stamps except for the first issue rather, which was way back when. This cover came up in a French auction, let me say about 2000. And I was interested in it because it fits into the era of the group type. I collected the era, anything going on during the group type period. A good friend and president of the French Colonies group then, Dave Herendeen, was a specialist in French colonial postage dues, so he wanted it too. And then there was I don't remember his last name, but a lawyer in Paris who was a specialist in French Oceania, and he wanted it. So the three of us bid this way up. Okay, I mean, we went crazy on it. And finally, Dave Herndon got it for $2,250. Okay, I mean, we were really going after it. But David bought it, and he put it in his 10-frame French colonial postage-due collection, maybe for about 10 years or so. And then the Herndon collection was sold, and it came back on the market. And I said, "Oh, this is the cover I wanted with the 50 centime postage due." And the price was down some. I won't tell you how much. I won't tell you how much I paid for it, but I paid less than David did when he bought it at auction and added it to my collection. So that's another one. Here's one. It's Saint Denis de Bordeaux at the 5 centime printed matter rate. And the key about this is in my group type collection, I had a lot of wrappers, okay, at the 5 centime printed matter. But it's really hard to catch a wrapper that has the full printed matter, especially if it's a newspaper. And here's one from Saint Denis Réunion that was sent by a commercial firm to Bordeaux with the full newspaper, the wrapper, the 5 centime group type stamp. It's from Saint Denis, the main post office, but it's just a delightful combination. And the wrapper, this had never been opened. It had never been slit open. That's why it all survives nicely together. And I didn't have the heart to cut the wrapper band because the whole thing is sort of glued together, to open it up to read the newspaper. Sometimes it's fun to read these newspapers, but not if you damage the material. And just to put this in perspective, in my whole group type collection, I had one newspaper from Réunion, one newspaper from Indochina, and one newspaper from Guadeloupe with wrapper bands and the 5 centime postage. Okay, they're very, very hard to find from colonial origins. Finally, we come to the last cover, and this one, when I decided to sell the group type collection, I put together a whole chapter for the French Colonies Philatelist, our journal, and the title of the chapter was "The Rarities of the French Colonial Group Type." And I picked the 25 rarest covers in the collection. And this was one of them, okay? This is one of the top 25 rare covers in my collection. And what is it? It's a triple weight registered business papers wrapper. Okay, you can see here, it's from a a legal firm in Saint-Pierre, the capital down south. And it's addressed to Saint-Denis, the big city up north. And you see a very nice Réunion, Saint-Pierre. And it's marked, and this is the important thing, papiers de fer. Okay, business papers, commercial papers. Okay, that was a special rate within a colony, and that was 4 centimes per 50 grams. This, you see, this is franked at 15, 15, 5, and 2, 37 centimes. Registration is 25 centimes, so that leaves 12 cents for postage. That's 3 times 4 cents, the business papers rate. So this is a phenomenal franking. Okay, 37 centimes. I mean, it's like a unique franking to have 37 centimes. Registered, triple weight registered business papers. It weighed 100 to 150 grams. It had a whole wad of legal papers that were wrapped in this wrapper.
Is that similar to a newspaper wrapper in the way it was used?
It's similar to a newspaper wrapper, except actually the newspaper rate was also the same, 5 centimes per 50 grams. But there were 3 categories: newspapers, papier de fer, and I can't remember the third one because I'm getting old. But these were all 5 centimes per 50 grams. Okay.
So did the documents stick out the way a newspaper did?
Yeah, they stuck out, and but they were tightly wrapped, and it's really quite a rarity. Okay, the nice thing about rarities in the French colonies, you can have items that are unique, but you don't have to get a home equity loan to buy them. Okay, and you can actually, mere mortals can afford to get these covers. The question you might have is, how did I know that the 4 centime rate for 50 grams applied to business papers? Okay, did I just pull that off the top of my head? And now I'm going to jump to a different colony, and we're going to go to Dahomey, Benin Dahomey. I happen to have in the group type collection this papier de fer wrapper. Okay, same idea. That was posted in Porto Novo, a big city in Dahomey. Okay, I can't quite read the date. It looks like 99. And it was sent to Cotonou, which is another big city in Dahomey. And if you see the stamp, well, first off, it's got the proper manuscript endorsement, papier de fer, and then it's franked with the 4-cent stamp, 4-centime stamp, which confirms the 4-centime rate for business papers sent within a colony. And this one is a unique piece. Okay, it's the only 4-centime known franked singly and properly used. Okay, not some philatelic hocus pocus. I'll show you a couple more covers that bring up just another aspect of this. There was also a shortage of stamps in late 1900, early 1901 in the colony of Guadeloupe. Same problem that they had in Réunion, where they used postage-due stamps for local postage. In Guadeloupe, they decided, and so it's not as interesting, to prepay in cash. Okay, until new supplies came after January 1901, you paid in cash, and so here the fund becomes collecting little villages. Okay, not just the capital and the major port and that stuff. Those are pretty available. Here's one from the little village of 3 Rivers, and you can see to document this, the local clerk wrote, received 2 centimes. These are, by the way, New Year's greetings. The printed matter rate for holiday greetings was 2 centimes. And the clerk wrote, received 2 centimes, and he put his office here and his signature to confirm the rate. Over in St. Rose, okay, again, another tiny little village, they had a PP hand stamp, so they just hit it with that hand stamp to note it was paid. Now, you can't show anything from Guadeloupe without showing something from St. Martin and St. Bart's. Okay, those are the most difficult offices to get, and I was able to add to this collection one of these prepaid in cash from St. Martin. You can see it very clearly here, St. Martin. It's a little island dependency in Guadeloupe. Mail is very rare. And they had a PP, so they struck it with that. But in addition, they wrote in crayon, Island of St. Martin, a shortage of stamps. Okay, so everybody knows what's going on. And then you go to St. Bart's, which is still a wonderful vacation area for the French colonies. And you can see they did the same thing here in the sense they did a manuscript, 0.02 francs, and the postal clerk signed it to show that the proper 2 centimes postage had been paid. So that's my little story for today.